It sure is. So Tom tells me you're working on a new project. Tell us about it.
Yeah. Okay, so you and I briefly discussed one time about my visitation by a Michelin man-looking extraterrestrial. And so I got heavily into that because I started dreaming and sort of reliving this 2015 incident of this being coming into the bedroom and standing, petting my dog, putting my dog back in bed, and then I was sitting up in bed looking at it, and then it just put me out to sleep, and I was out. And so since last fall, I've gotten really heavily into investigating Michelin man-looking visitations and experience those and contacts. And quite frankly, George, I can find thousands of data points about all kinds of ETs and only a few dozen on this particular type. And I've been looking at the data, and I'm developing a theory right now. It's just a theory. Should I share it with you? It's
Please, absolutely. And I was going to ask you if you're sure it's not a robot of some type.
Well, okay. That's one theory. Right now, though, as I'm looking at the data, and I'm so glad I'm a PhD dropout. I didn't need to stay and get it. I just needed to learn how to do proper research. But my working theory is that the Michelin men-looking ETs are tall whites wearing special suits that boost their power, their strength, because they're a little bit fragile when they're here on the earth. And I've actually gotten to talk to two people who were woke up when they were being carried back to their bed by a very strong, tall white. And one of the women said that she could feel like it was like a suit, like some kind of sewn material that she wasn't familiar with, and that it compressed a little bit as she lay in his arms. All the cases show that no one's afraid. The ones that actually make direct contact, they're not afraid. They actually feel like they're with a loving and trusted friend. So there's just a lot of interesting stuff around this, but not tons of data. Fortunately, some of the data we have is really, really good, though.
Was this body armor, and that's what I'll call it, was it just on the upper torso or the entire body?
Full body. Full body. Some describe seeing boots or one foot with a boot. Most of them see a white uniform or whatever this armor, as you put it, is. There's one account of seeing two that are dressed in red, but the consistency of how the material looks is the same.
It kind of reminds me of the Star Wars beings that were, what did they call the other side from the Force? They had this heavy white look to it.
Yeah, I can hear the music. I can see Darth Vader, but no, you really picture the Michelin man and then put a space helmet on him, and not quite as squatty as the original.
Okay, so they had helmets too.
Yeah, they do, and that is consistent across all their reports that I've dug into. Like there's a pasty.
What if they're human beings, Suzanne?
Inside that helmet. Yeah.
Could they be humans?
Humans from the future is one theory that I've heard posited out there. That I hope we don't evolve into such a pasty, white, icky looking, face and body that's so weak that we can't be on our own planet.
Yeah, what happened to us?
I don't know. That one's not resonating too much for me right now, but I'm keeping an open mind.
Fascinating. It is. So where do you take this project?
Well, MUFON, hopefully, and perhaps if I get enough new data. Right now, I'm just gathering it, but if I get enough new data, I can possibly publish in a couple of different publications. I know Rosemary Ellen Guiley did some work on this too, and I've included some of her data in what I'm collecting. But my Intuition Educator School is going to be a proud sponsor of the MUFON Symposium in July in Denver. And so I'm going to meet with several people there and hopefully develop this a lot more and have a lot more cool stuff to share.
How did you get involved in all this, Suzanne, in the first place?
Starting out by being that weird little kid who saw lights and ghosts and spirits around people, I think it's just a natural progression. For years, I did readings. I would stand on a platform in front of up to 800 people and give messages from spirit. I submitted myself to academic studies at a university where we follow scientific methods. I burnt out on the grief and feeling all the grief all the time. And I'm like, frankly, no offense, but the so-called dead get boring after a while, too. It's like they're happy over there. It's nice to make contact. It's nice to know that they're doing well. But as a medium, I have a hunger and thirst for knowledge and evidence and research and finding out what else is out there, And so I've kind of stepped away from the grief part of it and gone into the ultraterrestrials and extraterrestrials.
We're going to take calls at the half with Suzanne Wilson.